This week, we welcome back Jayson Street. He's the VP of InfoSec at SphereNY, and he'll be joining us for an interview. We're going to talk about security awareness, and I imagine lots of other things. Hopefully mostly security related, but no promises. In the technical segment, we welcome John Morin, the Senior Product Manager at DF Labs, to talk about DF Labs' new no-script automation tool, which I believe might be completely free. I think he did say he was coming and talk about a free tool. If not, I apologize. And you can download other free software from the internet. In the security news this week, zero-day Windows exploits, how to hide sensitive files in encrypted containers, misfortunate cookie vulnerability returns, and bank robbers faked the Cosmos backend to steal $13.5 million, as well as something that makes your genitals disintegrate or something like that. That's my offbeat story for the week. All that and more on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly. This is Security Weekly, for security professionals by security professionals. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. Welcome. Did Larry have an introduction? Hi, everyone. This is Paul Asador, and I guess I'm introducing...
Apparently, I no longer do. Wow, and I look short.
So, I accidentally landed in New England and stumbled my way to the G-Unit studio.
That's pretty much how I envisioned it happening, Jeff. Carlos, save the show, please.
Yes, somebody's got to do it.
Cannot be saved.
Well, it's good to have you back, Carlos. Jeff, welcome. Nice to have you in studio.
It's great to be here, Paul. Try to stay awake for the whole episode.
Yes. We've been in studio dropping his phone incessantly. Welcome, Jack.
What? Where? Oh, hey! I'm in the studio with you guys. That's kind of cool.
The average time between being hacked and realizing you've been hacked is 1 year. Can you afford to let an intruder roam your network for that long? Can your company weather the fallout when this comes to light? Black Hills Information Security can find the bad guys in your network and train you to do it yourself. Email consulting at blackhillsinfosec.com to find out how a hunt teaming engagement can help you find a persistent threat in your network. NetSparker, the developers of desktop and cloud-based web application security scanners that enable you to automatically identify vulnerabilities in your web applications and web services. NetSparker scanners employ a unique and dead-accurate vulnerability scanning engine that automatically verifies vulnerabilities with their proof of concept. For more information, visit them on the web at netsparker.com or email at contact@netsparker.com.
And welcome to the show. But first, let me introduce you to a man who knows a little bit about armpits. Paul Asador.
Oh, hey, welcome everyone to Paul's Security Weekly. This is episode 573, recorded August 30th, 2018. We're in G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island. To my left, the illustrious, the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Larry Phishing.
Oh, your other left. Got it.
My
Right.
left.
My left, not my left.
Right. You're right, my left. Not your left. You're right.
Yes, the other one.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm always right.
Not your left, my left, which is your... Anyway. Welcome.
Anyway.
I see we...
Yes.
You got the memo about red shirts
I did.
and shorts today. It's good.
I did.
Glad you got the memo. On the lines via Skype, LinkedIn... I linked Zoom, rather. I said LinkedIn. Skype, Zoom, one of them. I'm supposed to say that you're on the lines via Skype if it is, in fact, Skype. And I guess when we convert to Zoom, I won't have to say that anymore, which would be awesome.
On the lines via Zoom.
Via Zoom or Skype. Mr. Jack Daniel is here with us. Jack, welcome.
Hello.
Whoa.
Whoa.
A dimly lit room with candles, yet
Yeah,
you're by yourself, Jack.
It's incense and oil and candles and
I mean,
sacrificial animals. And
he took his pill. He took his pills, so I mean, he's gonna do something with it.
that's right.
Take the blue pill. Mr. Joff Thayer is here with us this evening as well. Joff, welcome.
Well, hello, Paul. Good to be here. You know, with Jack's image there, he almost looks like the artist formerly known as Jack Daniel.
Pretty soon his name's going to be just a symbol. Mr. Jeff Mann is here with us, drinking from his NSA glassware.
Oh, yes. Must show it off. You can pick this up at the Great Gift Shop at the National Cryptologic Museum.
Nice.
Very nice.
So we're
everybody
included.
speak up and speak into the glass.
Speak into the medallion on the glass, please. Yes. Quick announcement. Our on-demand... Oh, not because I can't see him. Not Kevin is here with us. Welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for forgetting about me.
And I couldn't see you, so I did forget about you.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Momentarily, you're always in my thoughts. Not
Story
Kevin.
of my life right
He
there.
is not Kevin after all.
At strategic times in my life, you are in my thoughts, Kevin.
Thank you.
It's usually
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
It's usually first thing in the morning in the shower, but
That
is strategic.
again, a very large window.
It's
Behind.
that's so big.
I feel obligated to point that out, and my love for WAFs, just to get it all out of the way.
I appreciate you taking proactive measures here to kind of address the base topics of the show right off the bat.
Now, on-demand materials, securityweekly.com/on-demand. You can check out our entire archive of on-demand, previously recorded webcasts, or previously recorded webcasts available on demand, is what I meant to say. And again, securityweekly.com/on-demand. Go there, register, watch cool stuff. And speaking of cool stuff, the man who has probably the largest collection of cool stuff known to man, and most of it's attached to his backpack at a conference, is Mr. Jayson Street, who's here with us. Jayson, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Nice to see you.
How's that for an introduction?
That's some of the one of the better ones that I've gotten. Some of them are like, yeah, we couldn't get rid of him. Here he is. So I like that one way better.
That man we're often referred to as "Hey, you in the bushes," Mr. Jayson
You
Street.
have like an endless supply of stickers. Like, I'm kind of thinking, like, you know the trick where someone's in the shower and they're shampooing their hair and they rinse it off and you squeeze more and it just feels like there's a never-ending supply of shampoo that won't go away. That's how Jason's with stickers. Like, do you have like boxes of stickers?
I can show you. I actually have one whole box full of stickers.
I'll get it. Come on, show us.
Yeah, show us.
The sad part is, I think depending on the size of Jason's box of stickers, I may actually have a box about the same size.
Are you guys going to compare sizes?
Oh man, you guys are going to go into a fox
Look at this.
measure.
It's an entire drawer of stickers.
It is. I've got, of course, DEF CON groups, Pac 5, DC 713.
Yeah, but
one of my favorites. Grifter said I could do it.
Yeah, I like that one.
I love that one.
But you're like at least 30 or 40 deep in all those stickers, though, because I saw your new luggage that you were carrying through TSA, and it had this like amazing collection of stickers on it, and you were like, I just brought it down from the attic, which I'm assuming it had no stickers on it, and then you're like, oh, I just need to go to my endless supply of stickers, and it's like that drawer's only that big, but it never runs out. It's just magic.
I bought a new piece of luggage because Thanks United ruined my luggage on the way to Romania, and literally on the trip back from Cluj-Napoca, I had 5 stickers already on it.
There you go. See, I rest my case.
Yep.
So, Jayson, you wanted to talk about security awareness.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the things that I've been doing, and it's like I don't think we're. I've heard some arguments on the internet. Believe that or not, it's like arguments on the internet, and I've been doing a lot of the red teaming and security awareness kind of thing.
Jayson, the shoes are blue, or was it a dress or shoes that were blue? Remember that whole debate on the internet? What color was the dress or the shoes? Anyway.
Oh yeah.
It was a dress.
So I was getting in there, and so the last year, it's like I've switched off to try to stop trying to just break into places to create the lesson and start focusing more on actually getting the employees to be proactive. It's like actually getting employees to be part of the security team. And I already heard a snicker, I think. It's like, and that's one of our biggest problems is our industry, where we think that we can get technology to fix the people problem instead of getting people to be part of the technology solution. And so I've just gone, that's my newest windmill. That's what I'm tilting at. It's a really, I created a class that was at Black Hat. We're doing it at the DerbyCon and the Texas Cybersecurity Summit in October. And it's about educating IT, educating blue teams, educating security professionals on how to actually do proper security awareness, teachable moments for their users, and how to get them more involved in creating teachable moments to actually give that impression, to give that actual first oh, this is bad to their users and get them involved and part of the process instead of just being part of the problem.
But now, Jayson, there's a lot of commercial vendors out there that you can go buy security awareness and security training programs from. And I say awareness and training is two different things. Sometimes people mix the terms up. But if we stick to awareness, there's a lot of companies that can do that. What's the advantage of either going with a company or doing some of the training internally?
Even if you're doing it with a company, even if you have a company, a third party trying to do it, there's nothing more important than having your internal team being a conduit and part of the process for these people to learn and understand who they need to report to. It's like, it's not just teaching them how to create security awareness programs and having that replace it. It's teaching them how to interact, how to be part of and involved with the users. It's like making the users feel like they're actually part of the security team, making the users feel like they're part of the process, and not just having to be security aware, but actually being security conscious in their private life and their work life. It's like having them actually understand what that is. Educating them, empowering them, and enforcing the policies are important.
I mean,
it's not going to be done by a box solution.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It does make them, I think, more resilient to being phished or social engineered. But someone's always going to click the link or hold the door open for me, right?
Well, it depends. It's like you always say someone's always going to click the link. It's like we always like to blame the users for clicking the link. And I'm not saying get rid of technologies that help mitigate that. It's like, and I've never been one to say that we can eliminate risk. That's impossible. We're never going to eliminate risk. What I'm saying is trying to get the users to finally understand what their role is in our industry. It's like in their job. And the way that I equate this with is with the delivery driver. I've said this quite a bit. It's like if you hire a delivery driver on the first day of the job, do you give him the keys and say, okay, you've got your license, we've already hired you, you know what you're doing, just go off and drive? No, that's not what happens. It's like you tell them what your policies are. You show them what the vehicle looks like. You talk to them about that they have to use the turn signal, that they have to go to the speed limit, that they have to obey all traffic laws. You even put GPS units and you put like cameras and you put a sign on the back of their van to make sure that you enforce that they're doing that. It's like,
how's my driving? Call 1-800.
And guess what happens? If they wreck the van, there's repercussions. It's like they get repercussions for that. It's like if they wreck the van 3 times, they're usually fired because they're causing damage. And when you give a new user, a new employee, a computer, you tell them all the things that they shouldn't do, and when they do it, you go, "Oh, okay, we got to reformat the machine."
Yeah,
no problem. They have to feel the enforcement.
No accountability.
As a driver, though, it's my job to drive. As a user working for an enterprise, my job could be finance, could be HR. My job's not to secure my computer or, know to not click on stuff.
It's the equipment you're using. You have to have the same responsibility as a person on the assembly line working with heavy machinery. It's like as you are with a laptop. It's like we're not giving that kind of message to our employees. We're making it look like IT security is more about janitorial staff, where when you get infected or you get a virus, we come and clean it up. But it has to be.
Now, hold on. If I infect or get a virus, I'm choosing a doctor, maybe over a janitorial service, although it depends on the doctor. Just saying.
Well, no, but we're cleaning up the laptop for them.
Sure.
It's like not to mix the metaphors, which I probably, crossing the streams. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking is our biggest problem right now. And I'm doing a whole rant about that this year. It's like where I ran on that is because I think we're failing our users and we're trying to blame them or trying to find something to fix them or to bypass them.
So, Jayson, I wanted to go back to that, and just I'm playing devil's advocate just for the sheer fact of playing devil's advocate. I agree largely with what you're saying, but I'm taking the opposing viewpoint on purpose so we can make our way through all these issues. And now, in the driver of the van example or whatever vehicle, right? If they get into an accident, they might get into trouble. If they get into 3 accidents, they get fired. If we transfer that to the user, shouldn't we say, hey, if you get owned the first time, there's a penalty, and after the 3rd time, you're fired?
I 100% agree with that.
Really?
I say that it's like if they get phished first, they need to be re-educated. It's like they need to go through a special program that gives them some intense training on phishing techniques, what to look out for.
They need to go they need to go to rehab.
Yeah, they get specialized training. It's like if they get, and I'm not talking about just an external phish. If they get phished internally from an internal thing, they go and they get educated on that. The second time they click on a link and compromise the machine, or they get fall for a phishing expedition or exercise, then they get written up. It's like, and by the third time, you've got someone that's jeopardizing your network. Why aren't you taking more proactive roles to get them out of your environment?
But now, shouldn't we use positive reinforcement, Jayson, just like all of us I know do with our children and such? I mean, there are a lot of people that advocate for rewards if you find a phishing attack rather than negative reinforcement like repercussions.
Well, no. Don't get me wrong. It's like the biggest part of security awareness training that in the class that I teach is talking about how to do gamification. How do you actually make it a positive experience for the users? It's like, for some reason, we went straight to the stick, but it's like, there's always a carrot involved. And one of the things that's very important is to gamify this. It's like to actually make it where if you report a spear phishing attack, or if you support just a suspicious link or a suspicious email that you received, even if it turns out not to be attacked, you get entered into like a drawing that happens every quarter. And you can enter as many times as you want by reporting a security incident, making sure someone doesn't come in behind you and piggyback into you, into the facility. It's like doing these kind of things, reporting a suspicious person or a suspicious vehicle. And you get an entry into the drawing. And then at every quarter, the company will have a drawing and people can win some kind of prize. And it's the level of money that participation is up to the company. The kind of prizes are up to the company. But it makes it more gamified. It's like it makes it where people are more interested in participating than just saying, oh, well, I'm not going to click links. They're actually actively looking for ways to get entered in that drawing. They're looking for things that are suspicious because there's something in it for them now. So it is a positive bent altogether.
Yeah, I agree there should be positive reinforcement, but on the negative side, of it, if they do miss something or get owned, I mean, should it lead them to them losing their jobs?
Once again, it's like $300 million was lost by Target because a HVAC guy clicked an email link. It's like if a delivery driver crashed, they would lose what? $70,000 with a big tripped out van and everything. What's worse, $300 million or $70,000? If they do that to a van, it's like, and they cost the money, that much money to the company.
Well, I'm sure the company has insurance too that covers that.
Well, they have insurance, and we have, there's
cyber insurance. Sure. Wow, we all just said cyber.
I almost said it without
Hey, all right. Jayson, Diet Pepsi, drink it.
Well, actually, I
drink
don't think that's
twice.
anymore, but
No, he's off the sauce. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know it.
It's off the Diet Pepsi.
Water, drink it.
8 months.
Almost
8 months.
Well,
drop it.
congratulations.
Can I drop in a question and or comment?
Hold
here?
on, Kevin, then Joff.
Oh, well, Jayson, it sounds like I can surmise this. There's kind of two elements here. In that you're looking at this is that we've kind of treated the end user as the problem, and we've looked for a technological solution to solve it, and that has obviously not worked. So you're thinking about shifting responsibility for the end user's machine down to the end user, and allowing them into this process of not only securing their own hardware, but making it better for everybody, but also having negative ramifications of doing so. In that a problem user should be dealt with in the same way that if they crash the van, they crash the company. They crash the company, they should be released. Would that be kind of a fair way to surmise all of that?
Exactly. And the key thing is the key part before we go straight to like the enforcement or the punishment is the educational process. How many people in your company realize they're part of the security team? How many people in your company realize that they have responsibilities to make sure that their computers are kept virus free, that they're careful of where they click things? They're not being held to any responsibility. They're not being trained to that. So we can't blame them for falling for these links when we're not giving them those responsibilities and letting them know day one that they're hired that part of the responsibility is to secure their equipment and to
But Jayson, what if it's like a really well-crafted phish and it's a document, and when they open the document, it exploits their system? And what if IT was the one that didn't put in the compensating control that could have prevented it, didn't apply the patch to the system? Does the responsibility fall on the user, the IT department, or the manager who made the decision not to roll that patch out?
Well, I think there's enough blame to go around for anybody, usually in information security, correct? It's like, I mean, we can even blame other countries a lot for our problems. That's a good pastime. But it's all about mitigating circumstances. I'm not saying this is a cut and dry, black and white issue. It's like, okay, if you fall this many times, it's like, yes, there's going to be investigations, there's going to be DFIR, but the whole thing is costing money. All those things. It's like, how many times are you going to let an employee cost the company a certain amount of money without any kind of re-education or repercussions to let them know that they're responsible for that lost money? It's like if you saw a guy that was working on the assembly line, it's like destroying heavy machinery, or if you saw an accountant that was constantly losing their laptop and getting their laptop stolen or replaced or lost, you would say, okay, we're losing too much money from this person. And that's in the thousands of dollars. But when a company gets breached, we're talking millions. So why aren't we transferring some of that responsibility? Because I tell people, it's like when you go after a bank, it's like you don't go after the vault anymore. The vault has either like shiny little safety boxes with who knows what in it, but it's got no money. The money's on the terminal. The money's in the computer. That's where you can get millions, not like $50,000 or $70,000. It's the data on the computers now that are going to cost you millions. Why aren't we protecting those like the vault?
I'm warming up to this idea. Hold on, I want to get to Joff. Jayson's slowly bringing me around. Joff?
Well, my comment was this, and I think Jayson's alluding to this anyway, but if we are going to transfer a little bit more responsibility into the user's hands, at the same time as performing the training, the appropriate awareness, we need to give those users the tools, the levers, the processes that they can pull on to actually affect change when they do see something that is suspicious.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, 100%. It's like one of the best analogies of that. It's like when I was robbing a bank in Amman, Jordan, it's like the bank manager was constantly telling me it's like not to plug a USB drive in. And the whole time I was like, you're right, I shouldn't be plugging this USB drive in. You're correct. You should call someone. It's like, I don't know who to call, but I know I'm supposed to be doing this, so let me do it. I did it 5 times because she didn't know who to call. It's like one of the things that we have to do is not just empower our employees to be able to make those changes and stand up and talk about something when they think something's suspicious, but we have to educate them on what to do when it happens. Do you have an extension line to call? Do you have an email address to send a suspicious link or report to? If you don't have just a simple extension line that calls directly to information security to let them know something suspicious is going on, then none of your IDSs and your firewalls aren't helping you as much as just that extension line. Give them something to call. They're the best IDS
in the bank example, at least in the U.S., Jayson, she could have always dialed 911. And I think, fortunately for you, she didn't, because all she would have to say is there's an unauthorized person in my bank,
that is true.
and call 911. But if she hasn't had that education to know, like, when to call 911 versus when to call internal IT, I think that's Jayson's
Once
point.
again, that goes on education.
Yeah.
If I came in there with a ski mask and shotgun,
Right.
I was going to have a very bad day because we train our employees on certain threats. We train them on certain risks. They're saying in a bank and a teller, these are the things that you have. If I could come in there with a shotgun and ski mask, they would have handled everything professionally. They would make sure they stayed calm. They would have been quiet. They would follow what they were trained on. But with a guy that's in a suit and a USB drive, they have no clue. They don't know what's going on. And I did something in America once. It's like on the West Coast. I came in with a blue work shirt that said DEF CON on it. said I was with an electrical company with a name that I had no ID for, a name of a company that didn't exist, and a phone number that Lord knows where it went to was just the right area code. And because I signed the log, and I look like a vendor, they gave me a whole tour behind the teller line, the drive-through line, and I put a phone plug behind the bank manager's desk. It's like, because I didn't follow like a threat. They weren't trained for those kind of risks. On day one, our educational process of new hires and new employees should include a whole actual dedicated segment, not just a brush over, don't click on links, but a dedicated segment on how to train your employees to look for suspicious activity, look for suspicious links, and how to report it, and the ways to do it, and how it rewards them if they do so.
But to the punishment thing, Jason's bringing me around really quick. If I have a badge that was issued, if I lose that badge, I get charged $35, right, or something. So employees are really good about not losing their badge because there's a negative repercussion. Larry, then I think Kevin.
And I think some of pushing that responsibility to the user of, hey, you do stupid tricks, you're going to win stupid prizes. You click on links in your email, you don't report something, and you're going to get fired if you keep that up. Or
maybe shamed. I have some ideas on that. Go ahead.
And if you keep that up, you're going to get fired. You're damn well sure that I'm going to take some responsibility not to get fired, not click on stuff.
Exactly. And it could be, and there are adverse effects to that too. You'll have some people that are so suspicious they won't click on, I don't want to click on any links. And that's just education again. Mm-hmm. It's not like an instant solution, but it's a process that you put in place to start letting people know that there's actual kinetic consequences for their actions online. They're not seeing any kind of consequences for anything they do on that computer because it's virtual. You need to start showing them that there are kinetic responses. There's actual repercussions for the actions they take, and they will make sure that they do so they don't feel negative repercussions.
If you get owned, you got to rebuild your own computer. I'll never do that again.
Do I get paid for it?
Yeah, not Kevin. Maybe you don't.
So the concept of shifting users to be more responsible is obviously a little kind of against the grain. We've either relied on training X or technology Y for the longest time, and as we're alluding to, that's obviously not worked. Mm-hmm. So Jayson, what are some of the biggest friction points you've had in introducing this concept? But on the flip side, what are some successes? Because I can imagine some businesses kind of pushing back, or maybe IT or security, and say, no, we're doing a great job. These users can't be trusted. And how have you kind of gotten over that barrier? Because I can kind of see us being our own worst enemy in trying to make the users more powerful, make them more responsible.
Yeah. I've had a lot of, and this is where this whole thing started over the years. It's like mostly every time I've had the first sit-down meeting with a company talking about doing a social engineering engagement, a security awareness engagement, where I would go in and physically break into their place. It was all about how impossible it was. It was all about how it wasn't going to work, but they wanted to check off a box. I had one where the guy was the executive was very snarky and talked down to me and wanted to know that how much help he needed to give us, because it's like, obviously I wasn't going to do very well. And it was in this high-rise building, their main headquarters, and it had a bank branch at the bottom on the first floor. And I was on the 9th floor, and I was literally I was so upset. I was like, well, let's just go downstairs right now. It's like, and let's do it right now. And I went down there, and I was behind the teller line. I was plugged in to 3 different computers, and the look on his face when he realizes, okay, it's easier than we thought. So it's this whole concept of it's never going to happen to me. That's the biggest restriction that we have. If you look on the newspaper, do a Google search on the news, the real news, not the fake news, but you do a Google search and search for nice, quiet neighborhood or quiet neighborhood. You'll see all these news stories about murders and all these horrible acts of things that have happened. And they all say it was a quiet neighborhood until it wasn't. It was PCI compliant till it wasn't. December 7th, 1941, one of the first radar installations being manned at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. And the person manning the radar was like, oh, there's planes coming in from a different vector. What should we do? The supervisor looks at planes coming from a different vector at a time of a global war going on, and he said, I guess it's the training planes. Don't worry about it. Because he didn't want to think something bad was happening. We have to overcome that. We have to show them that sometimes bad things happen. And that's one of the things that we teach. We teach our security professionals, we teach our IT security administrators how to create, teachable moments that don't cause any damage, but actually make that point across that this could be bad. Someone could phish you like this. Someone could go onto your Facebook or someone could go on your Twitter and see this information about you and create a spear phish that you would click. This is why you have to be more suspicious. So we have to create that moment. And on the reverse side, we reward them. It's like you show them how the rewards are, that there's a gamification of it. And one of the best success stories had nothing to do with me. It was from someone else who told me about this, where they actually stopped a potentially devastating breach on their network because a lady reported it. And when she reported it because she thought it was an exercise so she could get entered into the drawing. And it turns out that the person that was one of the employees that was sending the email to her was actually compromised. The intruders were already in their network and was trying to escalate privilege. And the only reason why they found out was because she thought she was going to get another chance to win.
Yeah, internal phishing is problematic and often overlooked. And there are some solutions. I think it was Mimecast just bought a company that helps with that particular problem. So
one of the biggest things I can do is, like, once again, doesn't require an extra service, is just going to your Exchange server, if you use Exchange. Sorry. It's like, or maybe other email servers have it, where if an external email is coming from to you, be able to alter the subject line or put in the body of the message, external email, extreme caution. So it cuts down on the CEO emails and the CFO emails that are making their rounds telling you to buy iTunes cards. It's like it cuts down a lot on the internal phishing because they actually know right then and there on the subject line or in the body of the message, it looks ugly, but it's effective, that they're dealing with an external source. It is a not trusted source.
Going back to the punishing of the users, for lack of a better phrase, well, what if we did something like shaming? I don't know if I ever told everyone this story, but at the first company that I ever worked for in technology, when someone made a really bad mistake, they were presented with the brick. And there was a company meeting, impromptu company meeting called. Whoever was there would gather around. There was a formal presentation where it was called out the mistake that you made, and you had to proudly display the brick at your desk. Until you observe someone else that made a really bad mistake, and then you bring the whole company together and then make the presentation and pass it off.
No, because that is horrible. Because what you have is no longer a workforce that is trying to do good, but a disgruntled workforce that is like trying to make someone else look bad. And that's not going to be effective for anybody. It's like you can never shame or publicly chastise people. It's like I had a job where the guy asked me to spear phish his company, and he told me he wanted the names of everybody that failed. And luckily the scope of work said I could choose one person to 100, but I just had to be successful and I had to give them names. So I chose the CEO who hired me, and I successfully phished him and I gave him his name. I never got hired back, but I proved the point. It's like you can't name and shame. You can't do that because you then are creating enemies. It's like one of my biggest failures is when I first started in information security back in 2000. And I treated my workforce, it's like suspects, because I was coming from law enforcement and physical security. So I treated them like perps. I treated them like potential suspects. And it was a very adversarial relationship. I didn't teach them how to be better secured. I taught them how to avoid me. It's like I was not seen as an advocate. I was not seen as someone that was there to help or rely on. I was seen as someone to avoid and an adversary. So we can't make that kind of relationship. It's like we're there to help them, and we're there. Our bottom line, it's like people call us a cost center like it's an insult. Our reason there is to make the company successful by not getting it breached so it loses millions. We're helping keeping the company afloat. We're helping to keep the company profitable.
Yeah, and it's interesting when we talk about a reward system, giving them, it doesn't have to be something expensive. I think with Masha Sadova that was talking about this. It doesn't have to be something expensive. It should be something that is even better, which is something unique. Like this challenge coin, this T-shirt, this plaque is special, and we only print them and only give them to people who have done something good for the security of this company or recognized a breach. And so you are an elite individual if you have one of those. Also works very well as a reward.
Well, exactly. That's perfect. And I tell people, it's like, what company can't spend $4,000 a year on security awareness? Spend $1,000 a quarter. And so that 1,000 goes to a gift card. It goes to like a special kind of gift. It's like something within around $1,000. And everybody has a chance to win that prize.
And even better, Jayson, even better than just rewarding yourself. What if you're in a large organization, not just you get a free lunch because you found some kind of fish, your entire team gets a free lunch because you found a fish. And now not only are you getting a free lunch, you're getting praise from your team for doing a good job.
Exactly. That kind of positive reinforcement, those kind of actions create and develop a team that's actually actively looking for something suspicious instead of just like hoping nothing happens.
More questions for Jayson? I'm on a rum and Coke, so someone else remotely needs to ask a question so that I can secretly get up and make myself another
Mr.
drink.
Jeff Mann hasn't asked a question in a while here.
I know.
Yeah, I don't think he has.
Maybe Jeff and then
Fire one at me, Jeff.
Well, let me start with a few comments. I agree in principle with the observation of there's something wrong.
Someone needs to mute Paul.
Mute Paul. I'm hearing too much ice.
I accept that in principle.
Well, the talks that I've been giving the last couple of years, last year, I guess, are sort of touching on the same problem in that, we're not doing the right thing. We're not doing enough. Where I have a little bit of a different spin on it, perhaps, is, my focus is, where I grew up in security, which was in the DoD. The observation that I made looking back is, when I first started in the DoD, the entire corporate culture, if you will, revolved around security. Now, conveniently, it was because we were in the business of security, and I know that doesn't or hasn't translated well into the commercial world, and that's kind of what I've been hung up on, is how do you translate that idea that security needs to be sort of baked into the corporate culture so that everybody knows what they should and shouldn't be doing. Everybody has some idea of right and wrong behavior. Everybody has some idea of how to react when different things happen. My concern with what you're describing is, and it's not that I disagree with it, my concern is really that it in some ways it doesn't go far enough, number one. A second concern is, and I see this industry-wide, that we sort of have a bias towards, we in security think we know all the answers and are the ones that are going to solve all the problems. And I would simply say I'm not convinced that is the case. I think maybe it's beyond us. But I agree with the principle that something's wrong, something's still wrong and still needs to be fixed, and we haven't yet hit on the right answer. And then I guess my final point, and I'll let you comment, is again sort of a tendency for us within the community to sort of look more towards technical, cool things that are motivating to us types of solutions, and that's sort of a couple of categories. Thinking technology is going to solve the problem, I'm skeptical of gamification being a motivator, but then I'm not a millennial, so maybe that works. It wouldn't work for me, although a reward systems in the past has been beneficial in my work experience. But I guess where I'm left with is, love the idea, love the observation that there's something wrong and we need to do something different. Let's keep talking about it, and let's explore different ways and try to approach the problem as hard as it is to do without all of our own inherent idiosyncrasies and biases, bringing that to the table.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things you hit on is like motivation. And that's one of the key things. How many people know an employee that is going to go and do extra work for no recognition or no pay? It's like they just do the work because they want to do the work. It's like, yeah, there's very few of those. It's like, but not many. You're not going to see Bob in accounting staying till 8 o'clock at night when his pay cuts off at 5 just because he wants to figure out one more Excel sheet. Employees will not do things that won't negatively impact their career for free or on general. We have to show them that if they don't do these security protocols, if they don't do these, if they aren't cautious, if they aren't taking these precautions, then it will negatively impact their career. It's like we have to show them why it's necessary for them to maintain, because I am not going to do above and beyond. It's like, unless I can, if it's not going to impact on how I feed and clothe my children. It's like, that's most of the workforce. It's like, there's our exceptions. It's like, and there's certain industries. Most
Jayson,
people are not.
Jayson, I'm warming up to this idea more and more. And I think another example I just kind of popped in my head as you were talking was, if you've got someone that works in accounting or finance, right, and they take some paper files with them that have really sensitive information, the financials for the company. Maybe you're about to get acquired or undergo an IPO, and the files you have could negatively impact that deal. You go to lunch and you leave them on the table by accident, and someone picks them up, and that information becomes public. That person's probably going to be in trouble, right? Because they can understand and everyone can fathom their mistake. However, if their machine gets compromised and someone steals those computers, the user's not held at all responsible, I think, in most, I don't know, all 100% of those cases, close to 100% of those cases, right? Because as Jayson said earlier, there's plenty of blame to go around.
Exactly. And there's like, if you're a nurse in a doctor's office and you leave the patient's records in the waiting room because you forgot something and you left it where someone else can just walk off with another patient's records, you're not just looking at being fired. It's like, that's a HIPAA violation. There's protocols. There's things that are going to legally impact you.
It goes even deeper than that with the tracking software that has tracking and logging built in. If you are a nurse or another practitioner within the hospital, if you look at patient records of a patient that wasn't yours or in your queue, or you didn't perform that exam, you're fired. I've seen it firsthand. You're fired.
So why aren't we making them responsible when that nurse clicks on a phishing email and creates an opening for all the customers' data, all the patients' data to be exfiltrated?
Because how are they supposed to know what's a phish or not?
And that's what I say. It's like it's education. And well, that's one of the things that I also talk about, and what I teach is one of the first things that we teach is I call it the Winston Churchill firing line. It's like you actually line up your employees onto the Winston Churchill firing line because Winston Churchill said this quote: "There's nothing more exhilarating than being fired upon without effect." In other words, one of the first exercises that you have for your employees is to attack your employees. Go onto your corporate website, do OSINT on the website, look for usernames, look for high-level employees or executives or regular employees. Go onto Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and LinkedIn and look for different things that they've got, different settings that they have not configured properly. Find all the information you can and then show a scenario. This is the data that I will use against you. Show them what an actual spearfish actually looks like with the data that you gathered from attacking them. And when they see that on the screen, they realize, oh, wow, that's open. And then all the other people in the class that weren't attacked, and I've seen this firsthand, go, oh, my gosh, I'm glad that wasn't me. That could have been me. I did a talk, and this was given out. I started this by last year when I did the talk on how to secure your bank's enterprises from someone who robs bank's enterprises for a living. And it's amazing the way that I saw people in the audience when they realized I was using a live target, when I was actually using real people. They got it. They clicked. Oh my gosh, this is important. And they listened to the second half of the talk where I was doing the boring stuff about how to defend yourself and how to protect yourself, because they found out why it was interested for them, why they were invested in it. So when you do that to your employees and you show them firsthand what kind of attack could actually happen, they make it important. They make it 100% part of something that they're interested in, and then you can then teach them and explain to them why they have to take this stuff seriously because they saw firsthand an example. So that's one of the first things I say to do. It's like you actually attack your company first. It's like show your actual on the screen during a meeting. You show data from your actual website, from your CEO's LinkedIn profile to their Facebook page. You show them why these things are available and what they can be used against the company, and people take it more seriously.
More questions for Jayson?
Negative.
So, Jayson, where are you working today?
I'm just here at my house.
No, I mean the company. We said it in the beginning.
SphereNY. I'm working for SphereNY now. It's a New York-based company, so that's why I'm in Houston.
That makes
Because logical.
And security awareness, is that primarily what you're doing for your job today? You're still doing pen testing, or?
No, yeah, I still do. I mean, I can't really keep doing good security awareness unless I'm still doing pen testing and finding new techniques and new things. It's like I do a lot of subcontracting. So I've got partnerships with other security companies like NetraGuard, and we got a contract, I think, or we're getting one with Trusted Sec, and I still work with Krypton Security, supporting him. It's like, so I believe in doing those kind of engagements. It's like doing the security awareness engagements because one, it keeps me on my toes and keeps me real and involved in what's going on. And it also helps judge how people are reacting and how people are improving on their security.
Mm. What is some more interesting pen test stories you have lately?
I think one of the last ones I did was the one at the DOD, or a contract. It wasn't DOD. It was a contractor for it was near the Pentagon. It was in DC, and they put in the scope of work. And I'm very big on the scope of work. I follow it to a T. I mean, I literally broke into a place by not lying once because I was not allowed to lie. And so this contractor, they put in the scope of work that I could start at this date, and they could say, and so that means I could start at 12:01 a.m. They didn't realize that because I went in at 12:01 a.m. And I could get into the server room if I could. It's like that was on. I could do that if I wanted. Like, oh yeah, try to get that. That's like really the hard ones to get. It's like, but sure, we'll put that in there if you want to go for it. And so I get in there to the building. It's like I get around 12:01. There's a cleaning crew going out, putting the trash out, keeping the door propped. I get in. I hide in some kind of like broom closet thing for about 30, 40 minutes before I think all the security's gone.
Were you dressed as a mime?
No, I was actually dressed as like in a regular.
If you get that movie reference, I'll be impressed.
Oh, it's a mime. I should know that one.
All right, well, continue. We'll see if anyone else gets it before we end the segment.
Okay, good. So it's like, so then I find this guy's desk who has some documentation he should not have left on his desk. And I take his business card. And then like 4 hours later, it's like I come back in when the building's open, and I'm dressed down in a suit and tie. And the funny thing is my tie says security all over. It just says security, 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 because I like to come with warning labels. And I just storm up to the receptionist who's like, excuse me, I need to see this individual immediately. And she's like, well, sir, it's like, excuse, I'm doing an audit right now. These documents, and I show her some of the documents, like, I need to talk to him about this right now. It's like, and he needs to know, and it's like, and it can't be discussed with anyone else. It's like, she lets me in. 15 minutes later, walking around with an envelope, it looked like I know what I'm doing. I end up in the server room. Okay. I get into the server room. Like, I'm there for less than 5 minutes. The guy comes down. One of the guys that was by contacts comes down running and is like out of breath. He says, you got to get out of here. You're not supposed to be in here. You're on camera. And I'm like, this was in scope. No, you weren't supposed to actually get in here. You can't be in here. The engagement's over. You have to leave now. And they literally cut the engagement. The whole engagement was over. I couldn't do anything else except for go to a meeting the next day with the CEO, CFO, COO, CIO, all the O's and C's were there. And it's like, and if he walks me into this desk, the mahogany desk room, it's like he literally introduces me as like, here's the reason why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
And it was a very confrontational meeting for like the first hour. Afterwards, after the first hour, it got a little bit better because they thought I was doing something bad. When I was like, I'm going with the scope. So, but you went in at 12:01. It's like, that's the day.
Right.
That was the day that you said I could have. It's like, it doesn't, your attackers don't do 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so after educating them and going through and bringing out the process, they realized I was actually simulating an actual attack. It's like, and not just trying to, do a security awareness thing. It's like, I wasn't just trying to get caught. I was actually trying to break in.
Do I dare ask what you did to pass the time for 45 minutes in the broom closet?
Oh, the same thing I always do.
He installed a WAF on it.
What'd you do for the other 40 minutes?
I got an iPhone, lots of apps. I got an iPhone with a lot of games.
That's right. I muted the sound of my phone and I played games. Right.
I played a lot of games. It's like I was actually in this one place for like over 2 hours, and I was literally at 2% on my iPhone before my target for someone I was able to target showed up. I was literally like down to 2%. It was a dire situation.
He's playing games. He played pool.
That's right. The
Pocket
mime
pool.
reference. The mime reference comes from Half Baked. I don't even remember when they robbed the place and the one dude is dressed as the mime, and then when they get the cops show up and there's all guns pointed at it, he like drops the bag and he's like doing this. He's doing this. They can't see me. I'm a mime. That's what I envisioned Jayson doing. When the guy came running down, it's just going like pretending to be a mime.
I will try that next time. I'll see how that works.
Let me know how that works out for you.
So then you can take up time in the closet. You can put white face paint on.
That's right. Because that's not suspicious.
Gonna have to add white gloves and white face paint and red lipstick to your EDC.
There you go.
No, I already have that. I'm good.
That's good. What do you mean? That's not all right. Did you see Larry?
No, I put metal straws for when I go to Seattle.
Metal straws are awesome, by the way.
Yes.
I was on
They are awesome.
the metal straw bandwagon with Apollo because he brought them over.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh, I like those.
First of all, the world is plagued with plastics, so metal straws are fantastic.
This is true. Jayson, thank you so much for appearing on Paul Security Weekly. It was wonderful having you. The highlight, the takeaway from this interview is just picturing you in a server room dressed as a mime, doing the mime thing. That's forever burned in my brain.
Well, just for me, think of it as me naked, dressed as
I got it.
with the makeup and the gloves.
I got it.
In a server room.
Where's the red
In a
lipstick get
server.
applied?
Yeah.
In a server room, getting his daily. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Jayson. With that, we're going to take a short break, come back. John Moore from DF Labs up next.